About time, buddy. Congratulations.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this one for a while now.
Ladies and gentlemen, your first two-time feature winner of the season, it's Darren Fleming. First two-time winner in this division. How sweet is that?
That feels really good. Yeah.
20. Did I get it, Jim? Driver 22.
So I won it.
You won it.
Man, that was something else.
What does it mean to win a championship here in Halifax?
This is everything. This is everything. Couldn't be any happier.
And how about that race to finish it off? We had 6 cars going for the win.
Yeah, it was pretty tight, huh? It was tight racing. It was good.
Has it sunk in?
Not really, no.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Darren Fleming is your champion. What'd you say about Popeye's Chicken?
Craziest place in Nova Scotia.
Popeye's Chicken is freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's lined up all the way back on the 102, isn't it?
I think it's all back all the way to Elmsdale. Pretty much by Scotia Speed World.
Yeah, it might. Well, there you go. Popeye's Chicken at Scotia does sound pretty good. Welcome into the show. My name is Tim Terry. This is Dylan Langelo over on the side. Mr. Paul is in the middle tonight because Denver is not here. Denver is off for 4 weeks. Denver has never looked so good, by the way.
He grew a beard.
Yeah, he did. We've been busy the last couple of days. We've been doing some iRacing stuff. We got some iRacing tomorrow night with the Smashed Potatoes. That's going to be exciting. We're going to talk Scotia Speed World, and we're going to talk Thunder Cars. We're going to talk Pro Stocks tonight. Jesse Deveau is going to join us in a bit. I'm sure we'll talk Sportsman during the roundtable. This is going to be fun, Dylan, because we have represented, because Matthew Warren and Andrew Warren are supposed to be joining us as well at some point this evening. 10 of the last 11 Thunder Car Championships at Scotia Speed World represented here tonight on the roundtable coming up at around 8:45. So this is going to be fun for those 4-cylinder guys that watch us every week that, might not know how to get there, to get to the top, to that drive, that whatever you want to call it, je ne sais quoi. It's going to be a great conversation, I think, when we get to that point in the show tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Thunder division, for anyone who doesn't know, that's your Honda Civic division at Scotia Speed World. And some of the best are always at Scotia Speed World every Friday night. Dave Matthews, we've got Stevie Lively. He's doing the Pro Stock stuff now, but he's going to be coming up here in just a moment. We're going to be talking about his upcoming year in 2022. That was my favorite division watching racing at Scotia Speed World, Tim. When I was a kid, yeah, the Sportsmans are cool. I loved watching those Honda Civics race. That was my favorite every Friday night, anytime I got to Scotia Speed World. And speaking of Scotia Speed World, Tim, I think we'll do the quick transition. The TV crew going to be back this year, right?
Yeah, this is the big news that we didn't actually tease, but surprise, this is our first Tim's Corner Motorsports TV announcement. We are back at Scotia Speed World for every race this season in 2022. So if you cannot get to the racetrack, you'll be able to watch the CarStar Weekly Racing Series and all 5 of these special stock car events, including the East Coast International Pro Stock Tour and the Auto World Maritime All-Star Sportsman Series in July. It's all coming to Tim's Corner TV. It starts May 21st and 22nd. Half of the schedule is currently loaded onto the website already, Dylan. I got to about the end of June. Passes, information, all that fun stuff, pricing, whatever will be, to be announced and decided at another point. But that encompasses 22, I think, events on our schedule. I told Denver, and Denver's not here to defend himself. I said, ideally, when we started planning this 2022 season, I said, 30 is a good number. I'd like to have something every week or every second week, but I'd like to have 30 races on the TV side. Scotia Speed World has 22 already. So we're surpassing that 30 number, I have a feeling.
Yeah, it's going to be a real busy season. Of course, you mentioned there the opener for the East Coast International Pro Stock Tour and the Car Star Weekly Racing Series towards the end of May there, with 660 starting in the middle of May. Once that gets going, oh, brother, it's just going to be full tilt, pedal right to the metal, making up for lost time where, again, I've said on the show a few times, and most Nova Scotian drivers would know and fans, we haven't had May and pretty much June racing in Nova Scotia since 2019. Long overdue. We're going hot and heavy right off the bat, and a number of races are going to be on TCM.tv. And that was great last year, Tim, where I couldn't make a few shows, but I wanted to watch. And I was, doing this or that, would tune it on, listen to you. And sometimes you had Rational Richard Drake with you. You'd have different guests in and out, and watch some fantastic racing on Friday nights. Even watching that crazy rain delay with Jesse Deveau almost going into the wall with everyone spinning.
Everybody going into the wall. It was a good time. And you can read more information on the Scotia Speed World website right now. We'll have it up on TCM a little bit later on. But the one thing that I did mention in the media release is that the Friday night deal is different. It's a different crowd. It's a different atmosphere. There's no other racetrack in Atlantic Canada. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's no other racetrack in the Maritimes because Mike James does some of the fan interaction and integration into the show. And obviously with COVID, it's a little bit different. But there's no other racetrack that I know of in Atlantic Canada that sings Sweet Caroline during their show, that has sing-alongs, that have Thomas playing the air guitar. Like sure, we get down to the business of racing, and those guys are the best of the business. But it's the fan perspective and the fan engagement and the fan experience. And I know there's some that got to actually watch that might not necessarily be from Halifax or don't get to a Scotia Speed World race and have a Friday night's race marked on their calendar just to come experience it. The great thing is with those 4 East Coast International Pro Stock Tour races, that one Auto World Maritime All-Star Sportsman race, there's a race on Friday night. So if you're coming into town for one of those shows, come out to the Friday night show, enjoy what we have some fun, kind of kick back, watch some great racing, have a cheeseburger and enjoy a great weekend of racing. And if you can't make it, you can watch it on Tim's Corner TV. And I know Mark Kingston last week was asking about our schedule. That's not it. I talked to actually a couple of racetrack promoters today. We've got one announcement that we're probably going to make a little bit closer to the end of April. We still have to test some infrastructure at a racetrack to make sure that we can do what we want to do, because obviously there's a bunch of racetracks that are in rural areas. So we're going to do that. We've got one more to announce next week. I got the clearance to do it today, but with everything running close, it is what it is. I got the clearance. So next week, we're going to have one more TCM TV announcement, and it just keeps going on. So thank you guys for being a part of this. And if you want to be a part of our crew, we do definitely have some spots that if you want to get to the racetrack and help us deliver the coverage that we do, let us know. I know Stacey Clements is out there. Love purchasing the races. Glad you're having lots this year. Paul can pop my schedule up on the screen because I tried to go a little bit backwards and tried to go a little bit easier on my schedule. The schedule coming up on the screen is the quote unquote easy side of things, Dylan, but there's still, I think, 40 something races on there, plus probably something on that May 14-15 weekend, plus probably something at the back. October 22nd is there too. There's a bunch of doubleheader weekends and tripleheader weekends. So I don't know what I'm doing with my schedule.
You're not sleeping, I don't think.
No, sleep doesn't happen.
Are you getting one of those energy drink sponsors? Like, are you going to be a Red Bull athlete this summer?
Red Bull or Monster or Diet Coke or something. Something's going to be happening going up and down the road. by the way, we are live and interactive. We're going to get to Stevie Lively in a second because I know there's a lot of fans out there that want to catch up with Stevie, and that's going to be a great conversation for us. But before we do, two other sort of announcements that happened this week. One that kind of happened today. We kind of shoved it under the rug with the rule books for Sydney. 5 races in Sydney. The dates are officially announced. The divisions are officially, or I shouldn't say that, officially announced. There's another announcement coming down the line that we're going to blow up and make big. We're still waiting on a couple of things to, cross those T's, dot those I's, make everything official. But Sydney's schedule of 5 is on the Tim's Corner website right now. Go to the first thing you see with the rule books. Well, we want to, look at the rule books. Those are fine too. But the dates are there. And another thing, Dylan, that's close to your heart. And I know I got a call last week. We know what's going on. We can't tell anybody what's going on, but Valley Raceway.
Yeah, it's coming back after being out for a little bit. There is someone new, not new to racing, but someone new that's going to be running that place. So we don't have any other information yet. We don't know when they're going to start. We don't know schedule. We don't know. There could be a giant shakeup at this facility. But if you're out of the loop on March break, unfortunately, the old owners made the announcement that they couldn't figure out things for one reason or another. They announced there would be no racing, but someone stepped up to get a new agreement in there. So there will be some dirt racing this year. Can't speak for how much, but if you got a dirt car, don't worry. Dirt truck, maybe. Don't worry. It will be playing in Melbourne Square this summer. And I know a few guys like Jason Pickles were kind of working on a dirt car just for fun on Sunday afternoon. So keep the wrenches turning on those cars, folks. Don't count it out quite yet. We'll have more information as we get there, but it is very near and dear to my heart. That was the first track that I got to announce. Can't thank Greg Banks and Peggy Gould enough. They are the owners. I really hope they still have a hand in helping out. I'm sure they will, but someone else is going to be helping coming up here, and they have a lot of racing experience. We can just, got a tease of maybe who it could be, but we're not going to completely spill the beans here. But it's in good hands, I can tell you that much.
And it is an ownership group or a management group from what I've been told. I know the same one is talking to you as he's talking to me, but I know there's a group involved in trying to bring this thing from where Greg and Peggy have it and write the next chapter in the book, I guess is the easiest thing to say. So stay tuned. There is more coming. We can't tell you anything else, but get those dirt cars ready for the summer, because it's going to be another great season at Valley Raceway. And always love going down into the Valley. It's a short trip from Halifax.
Hour and a half.
Yeah, it makes everything, it's a Sunday. From what I've been told, they're still staying on Sundays. So it's great for somebody that, you get a double header in Halifax and you want to go there on Sunday and actually enjoy some racing, you can. So keep your eye out, keep your ears peeled to the ground for what that could be coming up and what they have. I see Billy Powell Jr. is watching us too. So all the hot rod guys are watching us tonight, Dylan.
Yeah, we're just getting all excited. What's funny? Smoking Joe Harry messaged me earlier
this
week, and he says, what's going on with Mass and with the hot rods coming up this summer. He asked if the hot rods are bringing their own flagman, as Joe is the flagman at Lake Dowson Motor Speedway. I said, well, I'm pretty sure Billy Powell Jr. is going to be bringing both his double greens and double checkers and going to be going to the French Shore. So the whole crew is getting excited. A lot of cars. Just can't wait. It's just the anticipation. We're counting down the days. I'm seeing all these drivers posting their cars and posting numbers saying only these many days until racing season. It's going to be creeping up here. We are at the end of March. April 1st is coming up, and we get through April, get the April showers completely out of the way, and then by middle of May, we're back racing again.
Absolutely. It's coming up as quick as it can. I think it's 52 or 51 days to the Scotia opener. So quicker than that for the 660 opener on May 15. It's going to come very quickly, but we've done enough talking. Well, Paul's just sat there. Thank you for holding Denver's spot down. I mean,
yeah, no problem.
I don't know what else he's doing tonight. He should be here talking racing with us, but we'll let him slide for 4 weeks, I think it is, or 3 weeks or whatever. So
he's suspended.
Well, yeah, apparently
we tried no pay.
We tried to hire Meredith and Brittany, and apparently they are all busy tonight. So you wanted the best. You got us. It is what it is. We've talked enough, though. Let's move on to our first guest. And he is the driver of the number 30 Pro Stock, two-time champion at Scotia Speed World in the Thunder division. And a guy that I've been looking forward to catching up with throughout this off season, and looking forward to what's to come. We'll do that, and we'll get your audio queued up there, Stevie. The driver, the number 30, and it's been a while since we've caught up with you. Good to see you, Stevie.
Yeah, thank you. Good to be coming back. That's for sure.
How's the winter been? Have you kept yourself busy?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, sledding every weekend, just wide open the whole time.
So now that the winter's kind of over, there's no snow on the ground, you switch to race cars, right?
That's right. Exactly.
So it's been a couple of years since you've been on the racetrack, but what we saw there on the last couple of pictures there, you're coming back. Car looks great, by the way.
Thank you. I know. Very proud of that for sure. Yeah.
So what are you most excited about? What are you going to be doing this year? You're going to be doing a full-time schedule? You're going to be sticking to Halifax? What's your plan?
No, the plan is to do the full tour for sure. Yeah. I'm going to try to get every race I can in. Yeah. I'm going to try to come back strong, stick with it.
By the way, we're live and interactive with Stevie Lively. If you have a question or a comment out there on social media land, drop it down below. For those that don't know, though, and it kind of ties into the theme that we had here, you started your stock car stuff doing Thunder cars, but you started way back. And I know Paul's got the picture you sent me a little bit earlier. We'll see if we can get it queued up. You started with soapbox cars, didn't you?
Yeah, my dad got me into soapbox derby car racing. I was only 4 years old, actually, when I started that.
And it's coming up on the screen now. So it's got a 30 on it. So that's where the number came from, right?
Yeah, definitely. So Michael Waltrip was my guy when I was a kid there. And I stuck with the yellow and the red 30. From there, I went into go-kart racing. I stuck with the yellow, but somebody else had the number 30. So I had to change my number to 32. I was actually so upset about it. I didn't even want to race anymore. I told my dad, I can't have 30. I'm done. I quit. I was so mad. But he convinced me. I took 32, and I stuck with 32, even from go-karts into the Thunder cars. I even think I might have – I started someone at 30 and 32. I started with number 1 for just one season. But then right into the next season, 32 opened up. So I snatched that number back, which I was happy because to me, number 32 was my number. I had number 32 right through all of Thunder car racing. I must have did that for, I think, 7 years. And it's funny because when I got brought over into the pro stocks, number 32 was taken. And I was upset about that. But I actually got to get number 30 back. And when I come to think of it, it was funny because I was number 30 when I was 4 and 5 years old, which is basically 30 years later, I got my number 30 back. So that was really cool how that worked out. I was happy about that.
And Jason Morash is watching us, and he said that would have been me that had the 30. So he was the one that had to move you around a little bit because he was at the end of his career, and you were kind of starting. And when you did start your Thunder car career, it took off, and it took off quickly because I think, was it year 1 or year 2 you ended up with a championship? Yeah,
so the year 1, it was just a fight just to figure everything out. Just same as everybody that when they come into race and everybody thinks, oh, get me behind the wheel. I can do it, right? I can do it. But you put them behind the wheel of a race car on a track and it's a whole nother story, right? So that was kind of like me. It humbled me the first year trying to figure it out. Then the second year came and that was it. I won my second championship, or my first championship I won on my second season.
And you were kind of coming in at the time where we were still having 20, 25 cars, or, there was B features. It had to be a little bit intimidating knowing that, these guys have been doing it for a while and I'm stepping in and, trying to get my feet wet.
Definitely. There was some real fierce competition out there with the Hondas. It's no joke out there for sure.
So you come in, you do some racing, and I know we're going to talk a little bit more with the Thunder guys en masse a little bit later on, but for those that don't know, where are you doing this from tonight?
I'm out at Dave Matthews.
So I know Dave is back behind there, and I want to talk about this 2016 championship before we go any further and we start talking about pro stock stuff again, because you and him back and forth all season long going for a championship. You end up tied on the final night of the season. And you break it, I think it was 4 wins to 2 wins. You ended up getting the championship on that. What do you remember? What do you remember about that year?
Well, it's like I was talking to Dave before. It's like it's hard to distinguish between it because realistically, my whole time racing Thunder cars, me and Dave were always like just side by side, back and forth, switching between each other. You know what I mean? It was like, even in practice, we were saying like practice was fun. We'd float on the track and we're gone. And like, it's just hard to really distinguish between any of the times because it was always like that. You know what I mean?
So with Scotia, there's not really a jump to move to a late model. There's, there was the trucks. The trucks at that point were kind of fizzling out. The numbers were kind of dropping. So if you're in a 4-cylinder car, it's either a legend car or a sportsman. And I know at that point, at the end of 16, you were talking about, maybe I'll go sportsman racing. And that was the talk at the banquet. And then all of a sudden I think it was the Outdoor Sports and RV show, you told me, oh, I'm racing pro stock. So for those that don't know, how did that transition come along from, winning a Thunder car championship to stepping yourself in a pro stock?
I never even would have guessed it. I never would have dreamed it. It wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the Casey Racing team. They just took me under the wing and kind of just kicked me out there, threw me to the wolves. But like I said, it was really them that pushed me to get into it. I would have never guessed it. I would have never thought it. Even my dad didn't believe it when I said, listen, we're going to race here. We're going to try pro stocks. And the Casey Racing, they were going to put me on. And even my dad didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. I felt like I was going to get struck by lightning before I ever sat in that car. I didn't think I was going to live to see the day I sat in that race car. But the day came and I got in it and it was amazing. A lot of great guys in there. I wouldn't be in it if it wasn't for the help that I had. That's the same as any racing, really. All racing, you can't just do it yourself. There's no way that it can be done, right? And I had especially a lot of help between my dad, Mike McKenzie, Casey Racing, all the guys in my pit crew. Yeah.
What do you remember? You talked about, being excited and being ready to go and everything else. What do you remember with that first race, pulling on the racetrack with all these East Coast International Pro Stock Tour guys that, you saw growing up and you see all these big names? What were your first thoughts when you pulled onto the racetrack?
I'll just tell you right now, just being honest with you, I was just scared. I didn't want to wreck these guys' race car, right? So, basically I was scared. I'll tell you right now. Yeah, but I think that any race car driver that gets behind the wheel before they start the race, inside they're scared. If they don't want to admit it, they're just lying to you. Everybody get that sick feeling in their stomach, right? Until the green flag drops. Once a green flag drops, that's out the window. You know what I mean? But like I said, I think that the fear was just a little bit more intense because I wasn't in my own car. It was really I wasn't like, I don't even know what the word is to use to describe it. I'm barely fit for that class. I was lucky to be in it. And not just my pit crew, not just my father, Mike McKenzie, Casey Racing, but also all the other race car drivers helped me a lot. They really did. All the other guys, they were very helpful in any kind of way that they could be. So it was just a huge effort from everybody to get me behind that wheel, and I'm grateful for it.
Obviously, everything's going a little bit faster. You got some good breaks on the pro stock sort of thing. But what was the biggest thing that you took that you had to shake between that 4-cylinder car going around Scotia to a pro stock car? What was the biggest transition you had to make?
Oh, it's like night and day. It's just two totally different beasts. I'm not taking anything from the Hondas because the Hondas, it's serious out there. Like, it's no joke, right? The pro stocks is just totally different, right? It's not the same animal at all.
Now, that first season, you got, obviously with the Honda, you got to go to some different racetracks and play around and what have you. But with a pro stock, what do you remember about that first season? Because that's when we still went to Gary. I know we had a couple of trips to PEI, obviously Riverside and the IWK 250. What do you remember about that rookie season?
It was just every time I got to the racetrack, it was just like I got goosebumps. It was just overwhelming every time. Just between like, and we're like the black sheep there. Like we don't really belong. Like I said, we were just lucky to be there, proud to be there. And it was just a fight to just try to, even still, like, I mean, we got in 2 full seasons there when I first started. Now I've had a couple of years off the track, so getting back in it's going to be tough again. But we were over our heads a lot. You know what I mean? So like where other guys know where they're like, okay, we're at this track, we're going to use this setup or it's this temperature, stuff like that. Like just make these little changes. We were lucky. We didn't even have setups. We were just lucky to know tire pressures. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we're going to use these tire pressures. But if Mike McKenzie really was a big help, like he's an old school pro, right? And he basically had the car set up for us for each track every week.
Mike's helped out a lot of drivers coming up through the ranks. And obviously he's got the nationwide start in Montreal. He's a Hall of Famer. He's won, you know, everywhere there can be in the Maritimes. What's the biggest piece of advice as a driver Mike McKenzie has given you?
Pardon? What was that?
What's the biggest piece of advice he's been able to give you as a driver?
I remember when I first was getting in the race car, he just told me, prepare to be humbled. Right. And it's funny because he was so right. You know what I mean? Did it ever humble me? Like I thought I could get in that and just wheel the car. I remember my first practice I got out there, I must have spun the car out 5 times just in practice and literally spun right out. There's just so much to it. And like, I don't even know where to begin. Like Mike really, he's been like a coach to me throughout the whole process.
Now, I know, Paul, I gave him a couple of pictures there on some B-roll we can show, but I want to talk about the PEI race because, you know, you got out front, sat on the pole, led the field to green. I think Blankhorn was on the outside pole. Obviously, there's 3,000 fans surrounding that place. The place is blocked with people. And then what happened to that car?
Well, I'll tell you exactly what happened. So I got out in the first heat race. When we got out on the track, the car felt so good. It was so fast. I can't even say it was so much me. That was literally my first time on that racetrack in a pro stock race car. And I ended up winning the first heat race, right? And the car was really good. Like I think what happened was it was just luck. Just the way that Mike threw the car together, just the way that we put the tire pressures on, just the tires that we had. It was just a combination of things that was thrown together that was all good luck. The car was so good. I started on the pole in the feature race. When I started the feature race, the car was working so well. I think I was even into like, I'm not sure, don't quote me on it, but I think I was into like lap 40 or something, lap 50 almost. And I was still in like sixth, 7th place or something. I can't remember exactly. But I noticed that when I was coming off the turns that I was reaching the rev limiter too quickly. So I started noticing that the clutch was slipping, right? And I was talking about it on the radio, saying that something's going on. But by the time I got around a couple laps and the clutch started slipping so bad that I said, I got to get off this track. These guys behind me are going to run me over. Then the fear starts setting in. So what happened? This is exactly what happened. My clutch was gone. Okay. It slipped right off. It actually broke, like, the clutch broke, like the center piece broke right out of it is what happened. And then when I tried to get high and get up out of the way, and then I ended up, the top of the track was all dirty, right? As soon as I got on the outside, it just took me right up into the wall. And like, of course, being like new to everything. I mean, I'm not new to racing, but I think I just wasn't really, I didn't expect it to be what it was, but I was holding on to the steering wheel when I seen the wall coming, and I just thought it was going to be a little kiss against the wall. But when I hit the wall, it was like a bomb went off. I was still holding the steering wheel, and actually my arm got all smashed in the steering wheel. That's when I broke my arm. And like the car started flipping, and I just couldn't believe it. And I was in complete disbelief as to what was going on. I went around the corner, and my head was like inches away from the pavement. But you know what? It was totally worth it because of literally that day was like one of the worst and the best days of my racing life. You know what I mean? Like I won my first pro stock race. And then the crash was unreal, but having it, I had inside car camera view. They had cell phone footage from outside around the outside of the track. We had professional photographer. Who was it? Was it what's his name?
Scott Sinclair.
Was it Scott? Yeah. They had snapshots of me going all the way around the track. So it's all documented, all recorded. So I mean, to me, it hurt. It did hurt, and it cost a lot of money, but it's worth it because it'll be a lifetime of memories. And I got the pictures to prove it, right?
and that was the highlight, because I mean, you got it. You mentioned the highs and lows. You got to lead the field to green. Sit on the pole, Blankhorn to the outside. He went on to win a championship and what have you. And then, but that PEI track is tough because it's one side is completely different than the other. So to master that place is a whole different beast, right?
Yeah, no, and you know what? The car was it just felt so good. Like I said, it was literally my first time on that racetrack. And it was one of the best races that I was having. Like I was doing so well. I was so proud. Like when I pulled off the racetrack, I was so when I won the heat race, I pulled off the racetrack. Me and my dad looked at each other. We couldn't even speak. I couldn't even speak to him. He couldn't say nothing. We just looked at each other like in complete disbelief. Just to even be there or something.
And I'm sure there's going to be more of those moments here this season when it comes up, because there's a lot of racing to accomplish in 2022. Dylan, what do you got for Stevie?
I'm trying to find this flip on YouTube.
I think it's on Facebook somewhere, isn't it, Stevie?
It should be. Yeah. I mean, it's on my Instagram. I got the footage. I got footage on my Instagram on the outside camera view of it happening.
Because the first thing that I thought of, because Dylan might have saw the Scott Livingston footage from about 5 years before that in practice, where Scott kind of did the same thing, but he ended up, and luckily there was nobody around, but he ended up in the fence on top of the wall. So
wow.
Luckily when your car did that, that's the first thing I thought of, because it came down back on the racetrack, which was good because there was fans all the way around that place.
Yeah.
So it was good that it came down like that, but it's similar for those that may not have been at the racetrack at the time. It was almost similar to what Scott Livingston had a couple of years before that in practice, but Dylan's still looking for it.
There's too many Steve Lively's on Instagram.
It's Stephen Lively 32 is the one. Okay. And it's just a few pictures down. There's you can see it's a video, and there's two videos. There's one of that 17 car pile up.
Yep.
Right, you guys remember that? Right?
Yep.
Yeah. And then there's right beside the video. It's cell phone footage from outside the track. It's actually an awesome video.
I'm gonna find it here. But okay, I'll actually ask the question. It's good to see you, Stevie, and it's awesome that you're gonna be back. It's gonna be so great that you're back with the tour full time coming up this year. But with your time off, I'm sure you were keeping tabs and seeing updates and hearing about the drivers. What did you think about the past season with Craig Slomwhite winning the championship?
That's awesome. Craig's a real good guy. He was one of the guys that helped me too a lot. Craig's just a really good racer. He deserved that, and I can't wait to get back on the track with him. That's for sure.
Do you think he's going to be as strong this upcoming year? Is he going to be the top dog to try and really knock off?
Oh yeah, he's always one to look out for. That's for sure. I mean, I'm not running up front with them guys yet, but we're working on it here. We got a strong car, I'm hoping, and I got a real good sponsor this year, East Coast Financing. If it wasn't for East Coast Financing this year, I wouldn't even be on the track.
Well, I found your wreck.
There you go.
I'm watching it right now on your Instagram. That's crazy that you grind out against the wall there.
I know.
It's like your back end got loose, as you were saying there, in the dirt, and then it just went right up there.
Yep. But no, what really, like I said, what happened, and I told my dad, Mike McKenzie, they asked me, what happened there? What happened? I said, the clutch went, and I think they thought I was kind of exaggerating or kind of making up an excuse or something. But when they took the car down, took it apart, Mike McKenzie said, "Oh, Jesus." He said he wasn't lying. The clutch is completely blown out. It was broken completely. So, like I said, what happened was, like, them guys are crazy. They're all maniacs out there. They'll run you right over. So I was just thinking, I got to get out of the way of these guys. So I just tried. I didn't want to take nobody else out. I didn't want no one taking me out. So I just tried to get out of the way. And then it was just like I was in for a ride after that.
Yeah, hopefully with your new car, you don't go on a wild ride like that. Because I'm looking through your photos, and the photo shoot that you did just looks amazing. The different angles and the smoke and everything. What are your expectations coming up for this year? Is it just going to be a gradual, take her easy at first and see how things go, or you're not going to go full tilt right away, are you?
Well, that's the thing. Like I said, I've been off the track for a couple of years now, so I'm really, to be honest with you, I'm a little bit overwhelmed, nervous, excited, but very happy just to be back in there. Like, just something like for me and my dad, just have that together. It's just like nothing compares to it. So I'm going to need every bit of help that I can get.
I know with your dad, because I interviewed him with the Riverside podcast a few years ago. He's one of the biggest racing fans in this neck of the woods here. I'm sure he's super excited that you're back at the track.
Big time. Yeah. He's can't believe that it's even happened to this day. He still doesn't believe it. Yeah.
And you're going to do every race if you can. The petty ones, the Oyster Bed, Riverside, Scotia,
That's
everyone.
right. Yep. Every one of them.
What about the other races like a Speed Weekend or a Mike Stevens? Are you going to do those other pro stock races or just focus on the tour?
It's a lot to take on. I want to say I'm going to try to get all those too, but I'm going to focus on getting the tour in, right? And spend as much time as we can just with the car and get as much done as we can. But I don't want to bite off more than I can chew because I'm already doing that to begin with. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm going to need some serious help this year. I'm still looking for trying to get some new guys on, help me with the pit crew. So if anybody out there wants to give me a hand, I'm looking.
Well, that's interesting, Tim. You know, with guys looking, I don't think that's ever really happened of a pro stock driver on our show saying, "Hey, we need guys." You know, who are you exactly looking for, and what are you looking for in someone helping out? Is it just someone carrying stuff or mechanics? What are you looking for?
Anybody and anything that I can, any kind of help that I can get. I need a tire guy. I need mechanic. I need helping hands. I mean, I hope I got my radio guy still, Ben. I hope I got him because he was real keen on his job. He knew what he was doing. I felt good with Ben, and like having a radio guy out there is kind of a big deal. Like, you need to know each other's habits, the way that we talk and react to each other. So I'm hoping Ben's going to stick with me, and I got a couple guys from the pit crew that were with me before. I'm hoping they're going to come back. Ross, Harvey, Scott Turner, my dad, of course. Mike McKenzie wouldn't be there without him.
You could try and wrangle in Stacy Clemens. He's watching and he's wondering about your chassis and the car history. So what's the deal with your number 30 car? Who had it before? What's the chassis?
Who, my car?
Yeah, your car. Yeah. What's the history with your number 30 there? Was it previously owned by someone, or what's going on with that?
For sure. So the car used to be DJ Casey's. It was under Casey Racing. He got, and DJ actually got the car from John Fleming before that. So John Fleming had it. He gave it to DJ. DJ gave it to me.
Okay, I think that probably answers Stacy's question. Tim, back to you. I'm sure you're brewing up some more stuff here.
Well, and the one name you brought up when you were talking about pit crew was Ross Harvey. There's another guy. When we talk about Thunder Car Racing, he was one of the best around. So you said Ross is coming back, right?
Yeah, he said he's going to try to get there.
No free features.
Yeah, he's going to try to make it there.
Just make sure you don't hook the Bandolero track, right, Dave?
Dave's back here playing Gran Turismo.
Well, I can hear him. So the question that I have is Bristol playing too, and how bad is Dave losing? I don't let her win.
Yeah, no mercy over here. You know how Dave is. He ain't letting nobody win.
I didn't say let anybody win. We saw Bristol on the racetrack this year with all the talents. So I mean, it's going to be soon that he's going to. So that's the other thing I kind of want to tie into this. You mentioned Ross Harvey and all these guys that are in Thunder cars, and some of them have moved up, but I can't remember from a Scotia standpoint that we've had a 4-cylinder guy recently like yourself that has moved up into a pro stock. So do you feel like you got the those guys kind of cheering you on and taking that kind of division on your back?
Yeah, I think so too, for sure. I definitely miss racing with all the Honda guys too. It was just such a great class, and it was just wholeheartedly fun racing. Very competitive, very tough. Everybody was so close. Like, you never really knew who was going to actually win. You know what I mean? There was like, at any given time, there was 5, 6, 7 guys that could win the race, right? So like, I mean, I miss it. I miss Honda racing big time.
We kind of chatted before we came on air. Dave's got a second car. He can probably find you a car. So if it's not Dave, if the right offer came along, would you hop in on a Friday night and come race with us?
I would absolutely love to. So actually, me and Dave were just talking. Dave says that my car is available for sale, that he's going to try to scoop that up for me, my old Honda race car. So I'm thinking I might just go out and scoop that back. I really wish I never sold it. I don't even know what I was thinking. Like, I guess I was penny pinching just to be in this pro stock. Right? Yeah, I needed a set of tires. Right? But I mean, I would love to have my car back and to get out on the track even just a couple times through the season. I would just be overjoyed to get back out there with them guys.
Now, looking forward to this pro stock season, you mentioned doing the whole season. With COVID and everything else, it's kind of taken away some of the crowds. The crowds are going to be back now. All these races are going to be back. Is there any racetrack you're looking forward to visiting, or any race itself? Like, obviously the IWK 250 is on everybody's radar, but is there anything you're most looking forward to? I
love Antigonish Racetrack. It's awesome there. One of the most proudest moments of my life is stepping out on that track at the IWK 250. Like I said, literally pull up on that racetrack, I get goosebumps seeing all the people, just seeing the track, just the way that it is there. And to be a part of it, I remember racing the Hondas and getting excited to race on the same nights as a pro stock because the big audience was there, right? But to be racing in pro stock now, it's unfathomable. I still barely even can like register it in my mind that I'm racing in that.
And there's going to be a lot going on this summer, obviously, with those 3 Riverside races, IWK 250 coming, return for the series to Oyster Bed Speedway because we didn't get there last year.
I need my second crack at PEI.
and
I want to go down.
So do you see it as an advantage? Because obviously their local guys raced there last year, but the tour hasn't been there in 2 years. So do you see that as kind of an advantage or a help to you with those Nova Scotia guys going over?
Because they're rusty the same as I am going out on that track. Yeah. And I need every little advantage that I can get. I need that. Definitely.
And we didn't talk about Petty Raceway, but Petty Raceway is on the schedule 3 times too. So that's going to be good.
Petty is an awesome racetrack too. I can't wait to go back there. I had a couple real good races there. Like, I mean, obviously I'm not up front winning races or anything like that. But just, I mean, I'm feeling like when I can run middle pack and even up a little bit, I'm like, couldn't be prouder. And I've had some real strong races at Petty. I feel like, you know what, one, I think anybody will tell you that races will tell you Scotia Speed World is one of the hardest tracks to race on. It really is.
So do you have that advantage knowing that it was your home racetrack and you get up into that pro stock, obviously you got the hometown crowd there. Do you have any advantage or home field advantage you feel?
I mean, yes and no, because I'm used to it racing the Hondas, right? And I got it just memorized. And in the pro stock, it's totally different. And actually, you just reminded me about my very first race in pro stock. You just reminded me of it. I get out on the racetrack, my radio stops working, okay? And I just kind of, I lied my way through it. Yep, we're good. Let's go. Right? Get out there, start racing. Listen, I'll tell you, the car was kicking out on me, okay, going around the corner. So you got your brake bias, okay? So I turned it up. I was trying to put the brakes more to the front, and I just kept trying. By the end of it, I ran out of threads, okay, on the brake bias. Now, you know what ended up happening? The arrows were backwards, okay? I took the brakes and turned them all the way to the back. That was my first race. I was lucky I even made it up with the car in one piece. So, like, everybody was like, oh, Steve, you did so good on your first race. And I was thinking, I was like almost embarrassed. Like, I mean, I did do decent for my very first race, but I felt like I should have been able to shine so much more on my first race because of that fact, right? And I feel like Scotia, I've had a tough time. Every time at Scotia, it's kind of been hard for me, right? I don't practice. I haven't practiced as much as I should. I'm going to try to get some practice in this year before I start, but I definitely need to work at Scotia, and especially being at home with the home crowd and people watching me that know me. I want to try to do as best that I can to show them that I have skill and that I have potential to do better.
Now, Drew McEachran is watching. He said, had lots of good, clean racing with Stevie over the years at Scotia. Good to see you back in the race car, but get the Honda back and come play with that other tour. Now, the support class for that first Pro Stock Tour race is the East Coast Mini Stock Tour. So for those that are out there that are watching that, you know, are kind of humming and hawing, I know there's some island guys that want to try out Scotia. I know there's some New Brunswick guys that are kind of on the fence. You're a four-cylinder guy at heart. You grew up racing four cylinders. You mentioned racing in front of the big crowds. What can you tell those four-cylinder guys about Scotia and give them a sales pitch to get them down here?
Scotia that's where the most of us are from, with the four cylinders, with the Hondas. That's where the brunt of us are. I feel like that's where it all kind of started. Like, I mean, I don't know about the history and stuff like that, but I know when we travel around, we come with the biggest crowd, as far as I know, right, Dave? Am I right?
Oh yeah.
When Scotia people travel, we travel around. We're coming with the most of us. Like, you'll see a few guys come here and there, right? But I mean, we always want to see more. We need every more racer that we can get. Like, I don't want to call it a dying class, because it's not. I don't think. It's just the cars were starting to get harder to find. But I mean, you guys opened it up a lot more, right? There's a lot more different styles and stuff in there, right?
Yep.
But I wouldn't count me out either yet. If you guys will let me come back, I'm gonna come and hit some Honda races too.
Well, you'd still be able to run the tour. You just can't run Scotia now because you've already drove a Pro Stock.
Yeah.
He hasn't won in a Pro Stock yet. It's the equivalent or high. But see, if they amalgamate the divisions, are they going to do that though? That's my question. So I guess that's a Dan McLeod or a Ken Cunning question. But I know Paul had the one photo we showed earlier with the four of you in Shediac, and I think this it's going to transition us into what we're doing next, because it seems like it comes and goes. Obviously on the screen was the four back in like 16, where it was you and Andrew Lively and Merle Corbin and that Dave Matthews fella, you know, the four of you back and forth every single week at the racetrack. Yeah. Talk about the camaraderie in that division and, you know, being able to, you guys race hard on the racetrack, but it seems like every time you come back in the pits, you know, shake hands and, you know, shoot the breeze about the race for an hour or so.
Oh, 100%. We're all true friends. We're real friends when we're off the track. But I'll tell you right now. Yeah. Well, I mean, Dave, I can only speak for myself. But I'll tell you this: when that green flag drops, there are no friends out there. None.
Yeah,
especially Dave.
I remember the door.
It's good to see how close everybody is, though, and that competition, and then seeing that camaraderie there. And I think we're around 8:45 now. So what we're going to do on the show is we're going to step away for about 90 seconds or so, and we're going to bring in the rest of the crew. We're going to talk a little more Thunder with pretty much all the champions from the last 10 years at Scotia. So don't go away. If you're watching us online, we'll be right back.
Awesome.
Keefe gives a little shot in the shorts to the 192. It's a battle for second behind Jamie Nillman. And up in front, Dave Matthews. Gonna come through 3 and 4. The Mystery Machine drives it to victory lane. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the driver of the 99. It's Dave Matthews. And ladies and gentlemen, he's now a 4-time Thundercar champion, Dave Matthews. Not the race that you wanted, but talk about that. That was close.
Definitely not the race that I wanted, but that's racing. I got bumpers. I'll be back next year. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. I hate to be a sore loser, but I like winning. Little contact, but that is racing, and great season. I'd like to dedicate this to my mom, who passed away, who always sat there. And whether there's 4 of us or not, I've been coming here for 20 years, and the first year with my daughter to race. It's a memorable season, man. So, yeah, hats off. And thank you, Tim, for everything you do.
Congratulations.
Thanks, buddy.
That's Dave Matthews. Top 3 in Lightning. Let's focus the shift over here. We'll go to Mike Jollymore. I know you didn't have a whole lot of racing time this season, but congratulations.
You want hit with excitement? We do that. I do that. The best racing is here.
This is thrilling racing.
This is career defining.
This is the car story.
Bumping, grinding, pushing, shoving, we've had it all.
Boring? Not here.
Green, green, green.
This is instant classics.
This is what you asked for.
This is pure fire. This is pure drive.
Inside 3 wide.
This is the best racing. This is the car story.
If we could fit more on this screen, we probably would. Welcome back to Tim's Corner Live. Tim Terry, Dylan Langell, and a bunch of championship race car drivers. Dylan, I think we're outnumbered.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, look, Tim, it's a bunch of champions and 2 dumb announcers. So we'll have to maybe step it up and get into the racing thing. We'll maybe pull like Jesse Thompson or someone to announce for us. And we'll get behind the wheel some mini stocks to work on our skills.
So for those that just joined us, we had Stevie Lively. Stevie's still with us. In that frame, there are 6 Scotia Speed World Thundercar champions, plus Dave, a couple of East Coast Mini Stock Tour titles. Is there any other trophies behind you that we're missing?
No, we got them all. Well, there's some inside, but the next one's inside.
And Bristol's got a couple after the season. A great job in the Bandolero this season, Bristol. We're joined by the Warren brothers as well, Matthew and Andrew. Welcome in. Good to see you guys here, and I know you guys have a rich Thundercar championship and a history as well. So welcome to it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And the 2 newcomers, I guess, to the championship fraternity, if you want to call it that, because Dave won 2021. There was no championship in 2020. The 2019 championship, which is right behind him, Jesse Deveau. Jesse, welcome in. And we have Darren Fleming as well. We saw Darren off the top of the show and on the highlight coming in. Excited as can be. And Darren, we'll start with you because we were chatting about, all these guys are going racing and everything else. You're taking a season off from what I hear, right?
Yeah, I had a kid in October, so that's kind of taking priority right now.
But I'm sure we'll still see you at the racetrack from time to time, right?
Yeah, you might. I'm hoping to get a car here next year or something, see how it goes, but I do miss it and I want to get back to her.
Tim, how big do you think Ryan's ego is right now with that t-shirt he's wearing?
Like that, right?
I'm sure it's pretty huge right now, and I'm sure he's watching somewhere. By the way, we are live and interactive. Those 4-cylinder guys that have asked for a 4-cylinder show, I know Jesse Leclerc and a bunch of others are I'm sure watching. Drop questions and comments in the Facebook comments, because we're going to chat for a little bit here this evening and do some 4-cylinder chat and do some of those, like we said with Stevie. Stevie's in a pro stock. Jesse, I guess we'll roll with you for late model stuff because you made the Sportsman start last year. Now, there was a sticker on the back. Dylan, do you remember what was on the back of Jesse Deveau's car?
No, I don't.
Okay. Jesse, what was on the back of your car last year?
To tell you the truth, what was that?
It was something that Ryan put on there. Something about trying not to piss my pants or something, I think it was.
Yeah. Ryan and all of them were joking pretty good. They were a hoot to be with. Yeah, I think it was something about pissing my pants, I think.
So mission accomplished. You got through the first little portion of the Sportsman start. How was it getting into a late model? We talked to Stevie about jumping up and, getting into a late model. He ran the pro stock. What did you think about your first Sportsman start?
It was a little nerve-wracking, that's for sure. Completely different than the four-cylinder, for sure. And of course, we had the big rain event. Luckily, I got spun around, and that wasn't the end just right off the start. But it was definitely interesting.
So moving on to the late model Sportsman division this year, what's your expectations for your first full year in a late model?
We're just going to go to Scotia. We're going to try and get through hopefully all the events. We're working hard at the car, trying to get everything together, trying to get all our everything's new, spares, all the equipment, everything together. We got our new trailer and stuff. Working on the hauler the last couple weeks. We're hoping to get a full season in. Hopefully run for Rookie of the Year. Hopefully there's some more rookies, but we'll see.
Matthew and Andrew, obviously legend car behind you. I know you guys were trying to get that thing tuned in last year and trying to get on the right track. What's the outlook for this season for you guys?
Well, we're just trying to play it by ear right now. Don't have any sponsors yet, so the year might be a little lean, but no, we made some good headway at the end of last year. So yeah, we're just gonna get it out shortly and see where we are.
I think when we talk about the championships that we have here, and I know we could go on and on about the battles and everything else, but I think the uniqueness of your guys' second championship was you guys did it as a combo, like, Dave and Stevie, when they have their name on the championship, Darren and Jesse, there's one name on there. I think it was the 2015 championship where you guys had both names on the trophy. So what do you remember about that year?
Wow. that was a roller coaster ride. It was, we weren't that fast the first 3 or 4 weeks. We were finishing 5th and 6th every race scene, and then we just realized how tight the competition was going to be that year, and we're like, all right, we got to work on the car,
every night.
Yeah, pretty much every night, and it was crazy because there was 6 or 7 guys every week that could win every week. So it was a really fun year, and we hit our stride in August. Just ran with it. It was a blast.
And you guys went from 2 full-time cars, and I mean, Chris was racing a little bit too, to essentially one going for the championship. So how much of a transition point was that?
Okay, yeah. I guess it wasn't too bad because we always work as a team between the 3 of us, and when it came down to it, I mean, everyone was chipping in and just trying to find that extra little bit on the track. And
there was like 14, 15 races.
Yeah.
Like that was a pretty long season.
And I think that year was probably, I mean, it just kind of all came together.
What was funny though is the adjustments we were making on the car. Like I don't like the clutch adjustment that way, and then we were switching seats, and it was
that's true.
It was getting like maybe a little bit annoying by the end of it, but the car, it was fun to drive, and you could pretty much drive it the same way. So it was pretty awesome to.
Yeah, don't want to do it again though. I want to do it again.
Yeah.
Now, Dave, I don't want to call you the senior of the group, but you've been racing, I think, longer in a 4-cylinder than everybody has in this picture. So I want to ask you about, I think it was the 11 championship that you guys, you and Matthew were battling back and forth, because I think you've told me before, Dave, that the 4 that you've won might have been 6 or 7 if it wasn't for a couple of points elsewhere. So what do you remember about battling with Matthew for a couple of those championships back in the early 2010s?
I think I just remember Tyler Haas, the first one, kind of took Matt out, and, kind of ruined his chances and stuff. But I know we get into it too, the start of that race, the last race or something like that. But I mean, out of the 50 races, I mean, I can say we've only made contact a couple times, and it's always good competition. I mean, you love to hate those guys, right? But they keep you honest, and they're good drivers, and as everybody else is here. So on another note, I'd like for those guys to message me the gearing for Riverside because I can't remember it after Andrew told me. Or just ship the transmission.
That's the one you haven't won yet, though, right?
Yeah, Andrew wins them all.
So, yeah. You never know. There might be a different guy in the seat.
So I guess we'll twist your arm, Andrew. There's $1,000 to win race coming up at Riverside this year. There's 2 segments. I think it's 300 and 200. I know Drew's watching. He'll correct me. Do you have a line on a car, or are you a driver for hire for that one? For anybody that wants to put a driver in the seat?
Well, I'm not sure if I can make that race myself, but the car probably going to be there. So the guy sitting beside me might be the filler. So hopefully I can keep the streak going and keep taking trophies away from the other guys, whether it be me or my brother. But that's a big race that I definitely want to attend.
We'll dabble in a few topics tonight, but for you guys that have done part-time for the last couple of years, to see that big money on there, plus the extra segment money for segment 1 and segment 2, I think if you do it all, if you sweep it all, it's like $1,500 to win at the end of the day. How big is that for this division?
Oh, I mean, anybody can chime in here. That is just crazy. It just goes to show how much talent there is in this class. And, obviously the fans want to see it. The sponsors obviously know that if, they're willing to put up the cash to, reward, the talented drivers in the division.
Stevie, Jesse, that'll buy you a set of tires for that pro stock or that Sportsman if you sweep that race, right?
Yeah.
Jesse, you still got the 4-cylinder, don't you?
Yeah, I still got the 4-cylinder, but there's also the Sportsman race that we're gonna try to attend with that. So that'd be a lot to do both. But if something comes up that I can't do the Sportsman race, I'll definitely be there in the morning.
You've seen some of these big races come up the last couple of years, and obviously you've Lake Dowsett every time we go down there, besides Steve McPhee, that other guy that's sitting next to us, Darren's knowing his way around Lake Dowsett pretty well too. This thing has really grown the last little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there any, obviously you mentioned the Sportsman car, for you, is there any race that you kind of have circled on your calendar that you want to get to this year?
Well, I'd like to get to AMP for sure, because that's something we've been waiting for the last 2 or 3 years now. Really like to get the car around that. I think we could do some good things there. Get the car turning both ways, and I think it'd be a blast.
I guess it's the whole new animal for everybody. Obviously, Dave, we've been talking back and forth. We talked Sunday at the mini stock tour meeting about that race and everything else. Matthew, Andrew, are you looking at that road course race as maybe one to bring that Honda out to?
Well, I don't have a car, so if someone
so driver for hire, essentially, right?
Exactly, but I wouldn't be surprised for. Yeah, I mean, you might go. It's on your radar. So
yeah. I mean, the scheduling is, we have more than just racing as a hobby. So summers get booked up pretty fast for us. But I'd really love to try that place out. It's a lot of work you got to put into the car to get it set up right for that place, but I think it'd be worth it. So I'm gonna try.
Matt Watson is watching. He wants to know where the CRX is hiding.
Well, yeah, he's right. It has been hiding for the last year or so, but it's It's still alive and well. Tell him, well, he's going to hear this, but I have not touched that engine. It's the original motor. Like, I haven't ran it a ton, but I have not opened up that motor.
You know what? I know he's looking forward to AMP, and I think he's the only one with kind of sedan experience at that racetrack, because I know he's run some stuff there. So maybe you can grab some pointers off of him.
Yeah. I mean, any information would help anybody that's ran that place before. Just knowing the track and how to navigate the corners and the bumps, and just it's a whole new animal. Yeah.
And obviously looking forward to this season. Dave is the Lone Ranger right out there now with Scotia on a Friday night. Dave, where do you see this Friday night division going? Because obviously you're out there. Pickles is out there. I was told he might be moving up or changing divisions. So from a guy that's been there since, 10, 15, whatever it is, years that you've been racing, where do you see this division going?
Well, it's pretty much gone away at Scotia last year. So for me, I'm pretty sure it's going towards Bandolero, and I'm okay with that. And then I'll just run the tour.
Well, I mean, from the racetrack perspective, what do you see? Do you, if you, I'll put you in Ken Cunning's shoes. This is a loaded position here, but what do you do with the Hondas? Do you let them run with the neons? Do you try to build something? What do you see happening with this thing?
Well, you see it at every other track. You see Hondas running with everybody. So, I mean, put them on street tires if you're worried about tires. But as you can see last year, some of them neons are just as quicker than me on Legends. So, you got your top 5 guys in every class that make the show. And then you got everybody else that enjoys being there. And then you just get some guys that can't drive for anything that just want to go, right? So, I feel like there's 20 some cars there, man, and you're going to have a good class if you just put them together. I mean, at least it keeps the Hondas there, right? And for me, that's like, since 2002 or 4, we've been racing Hondas there, man. So if it does dissolve, then at least I beat Pickles out of a championship last year.
You rode her right to the end.
Yeah. And I mean, as far as I know, he's still got a car. So if he's not doing anything else, he can probably throw somebody. There you go, Darren. There's a car for you. We found one.
Yeah. Give her a try. Drive anything.
We know that.
Transitioning, you mentioned Bandolero, Dave. Dylan McMillan is watching. There's a kid that went from Bandolero into a 4-cylinder car. Didn't want to take that traditional legend car, sportsman route, wanted to go 4-cylinder racing. He says he's excited to start his rookie year on the tour. Obviously, he's only got 1 year under his belt. For you guys, we'll start with Dave. For a kid that's just starting out in 4-cylinder racing, regardless, what they ran before, what's the biggest piece of advice you can give them getting on the racetrack?
Just, I would say, try not to overdrive your car all the time, and you'll gain a lot of respect. Everybody will want to help you, but if you go out there and drive like an idiot, nobody's going to want to help you. Right?
Times.
Lesson learned, Darren, or is that Stevie? You're in the pro stock ranks. I know a lot of these young kids are looking up to you as one of those pro stock guys now. What kind of advice can you give those that are just starting out their racing career?
I mean, I don't know, the same as Dave. Like, I mean, get out there and don't think you're gonna just run right to the front. You gotta be humble about it. You gotta start from the bottom and work your way up. And just take your time and just be safe and just share the racetrack with everybody. Don't try to own it and think that you're gonna be number one as soon as you get out there. Because it takes a lot of practice, a lot of time, a lot of hard work.
I know, Jesse, you were there a couple of years ago, starting from the dirt track, working up to the pavement, and getting those laps and winning those championships, winning tour races. Now in a Sportsman car. So these kids that are in a Bandolero that might be the next Jesse Deveau, wanting to move up through the ranks. What kind of advice can you give them?
Patience for sure. It took me, I started the first year, I ran in the back, had fun, learned a ton. The next year built my new car, started getting better, but still I didn't win any races my second year. Well, maybe toward the end, I think I won one, but it took me almost 2 full years before I started running up front. And, you gotta drive respectful. You got a lot of these guys have been doing it for a long time, and you go start jumping in the door, they're not going to respect you. They're not going to want to drive around you. But he's got a good car. I've seen there talking with Dylan. I think as long as he plays his cards right, with a little bit of practice, he'll get up there.
Now, before we go to Mr. Langell over there, Jesse, we talked about it off the top of the show about Valley Raceway maybe opening up again this year. So do you have any toys you can go play with this year in the dirt if that comes to be?
I don't actually, but it was actually just here about 2 hours ago. Dad was in the garage and he was saying that, if a good cheap four-cylinder came for sale, we'd grab it up just to go have fun on Sunday.
So there you go. If you know anybody with a 4-cylinder car at Valley to go racing, Dylan, I think we can probably twist Jesse's arm, or maybe we can get Tim behind the wheel. How about that?
Tim, maybe get him back on the microphone and get him back in the announcer booth.
There you go. I mean, the entertainment sells itself on the racetrack. If we had Tim on the microphone, I mean, we would sell out the crowd. We just say that, and we'd have a sold out crowd.
It'd be a lot of fun, but boys, I'm going to go for one of the questions here, and it's going to vary between everyone. Ryan Spencer is watching, and he wrote, how much would one of the drivers say it costs to get a 4-cylinder going? Let's start with Jesse, because you did the dirt route for a bit. So you started in 4 cylinders in dirt, but to get on the track, ballpark, how much do you need to put in the car? How much do you have to spend on the car to be half competitive? The number's going to vary. It's a very loaded question, right?
Yeah, and it really depends what you get. I learned really quickly the first year, the year that I had really I couldn't find much speed out of it, and it was kind of an old car. But really, a lot of people say you need this, you need that, you need expensive this, but I've been, after putting some of this expensive stuff into it and then falling back, I run pretty regular stuff. If you can find a good shell, you start from there. You usually $2,500. I think you can get a pretty good car to start with and go from there.
Hey, Darren. So about $2,500, Jesse's saying. What say you?
A little bit of bullshit, but that's just me. Definitely way more than that. I mean, it helps if you got a good car builder. I mean, everything I won and owned, I could never have had without Scott Williams. He helped me build my car through and through. And without him, I wouldn't have been anywhere I was, where I am now with the race car thing. He builds a solid, good, strong car, good tips, good setup. Definitely more than $2,500 though, if you want to be competitive.
Yeah, I'm just going off with me building it, right? So,
you guys, you're roughly off the same. It gets expensive. You get the hot lap, you get the. Oh well, I'm not allowed to use that, I guess. Whatever, but
that stuff just makes you slow.
Yeah, right, Dave. Yeah, it's definitely more than $2,500. But if you just want to go and have some fun, $2,500 would do it all day.
Okay, Warren Brothers, $2,500 seems to be kind of our number there. Set a little bit more, a little bit less. What do you think? Definitely got to be more if you want to be ultra competitive.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just saw my old car for sale not too long ago, and I think it was around $4,000. So, you got to plan to spend that, I guess, plus your safety gear, which is at least $1,000. So
I think you're around 5K really is kind of a safe number to be competitive, and you're safe.
Which is probably a lot more than what it was when I started. But
oh god,
but yeah, the times have changed, I guess.
Yeah.
Stevie, you're doing the pro stock racing now, but what would you think for someone trying to get into 4 cylinders? How much money should they have aside to get ready for that?
I'm gonna go with
A lot.
Yeah, you gotta take your engine to Armstrong's and get it built, and we're looking at 15, 20 grand. No, I'd say like 4 or 5 grand get you in something good. Yeah.
Dave, what do you think?
Well, I'm building a new car this year, and I luckily got the shell for $500, and it's a good shell. You can't really find them like that for that cheap anymore. A cage kit was $500. I welded it all in myself. So even to take a motor and get it refreshed with rings and bearings, whatever, you're going to be $1,500 there. And then your safety gear, you're $1,000 for safety gear. That's your window net, belts, and everything. And then a set of tires is probably the cheapest if you're running Legend tires for $100. So I mean, yeah, the days of when I started and all the junkyard motors that you can put in and stuff that I'm pretty well out of now to try and be competitive. I mean, yeah, times have changed. Look at the price of gas.
We're gonna be doing electric car racing here in 5 years, I think.
Man, we're gonna be like slop car racing.
Tim, that's kind of brought up the point where, maybe the mini stock is getting a little too expensive for the entry level thing. We're seeing in New Brunswick, the bomber division at Speedway Miramichi really pick up with 30 cars expected coming up this summer. Maybe it's time for some of these Nova Scotian tracks and Sydney's going to be doing it with their V6 division, but considering like an old hobby stock V6, throw a basic H bar in there and let her rip, right?
And I think it just goes down to what you have to do to be safe and what you have to do to keep that cost down, but also make sure that you're playing on a level playing field. Darren, we know these cars are tough. I'll use yours as a prime example because you've won a championship with it. But for those that don't know, it also had a little bit of a tumble with a V8 stock at Lake Dowsett, didn't it?
I wanted to drive it. The one time he would have drive it, he goes out, gets rolled. Not a scratch on him, not a bruise, nothing.
Scott got out of the car. There was, everything was all hunky dory, and and that car's still going.
It is still going. I think I sold it to Steve, my cousin in Yarmouth, and then I think Neil Muse has it now.
And I know Neil's watching, so I'm sure he'll chime in at some point. But Neil's got a good thing going. That's the one question I kind of want to transition to, because we're sitting here with 10 championships around us, Dylan. There's a lot of championships around, but I want to ask these guys, because it's been ultra competitive, and we can pull some names from before. We'll start with the newcomers to this thing. Neil says he owns that car and also the 31. So Neil's collecting 4 cylinders up there, by the way, in Miramichi. Jesse, I'll start with you. You've raced with a lot of quality drivers in this division, as everybody has here. Is there pick one name that would be like a Mark Martin to this division that, might have won a bunch of races, has been ultra competitive, but maybe hasn't won a Thunder Car championship that maybe should have in their career?
You're frozen. So somebody that has always been, super good, looked up to, and luckily I had the chance to get help from is Dave Matthews. He's been a lot of help. He's really good. He's always been, super competitive, always there. But we sometimes we show up at the track together, but we race hard, and he's a hard guy to beat.
Now, Dave's won a couple of championships, though. Is there anybody that you've raced with that might have been? They're probably good enough to win a championship, but maybe haven't yet. We might be frozen on Jesse's end again. Darren, we'll go
freezing up a bit.
Okay. Darren, we'll go to you. Drew McEachran says he is a good option for this question.
I was going to say Drew.
I was going to say Drew.
Well, there you go. I want to get to you guys in a second, because you guys race with a lot of those. Not saying the more experienced drivers that would have been around that time. But Darren, you raced with a lot of sharp drivers, and you mentioned Scott Williams' name. I think his name kind of has to be in the conversation, even though he really never did a full-time season. I think his name has to be in there. But
in there.
Yeah, who else did you race with that, you know, maybe not have won a Scotia championship that should have in their career?
I know Chris Hatcher was really strong competition whenever I raced with him. He was big. Baker, he's my boy. I'd like to see him win sometime. Greg McKay, he's a solid competitor and he's committed. I always love racing with Greg. He was great.
Great sandwiches.
Yeah, absolutely. Sandwiches.
Yeah, he makes great sandwiches.
And hugs.
Yeah, he's all for the hugging.
So he's won a feature and everything else, and I take a little bit of arm twisting to get him back, but I know he wants to get back in a race car. Matthew Andrew, Chris Hatcher's name came up, and that was one of the names that I was going to mention because he's so competitive and he's so quick on the racetrack. But you guys have raced for, you know, well over a decade in this division. What name, when we talk about competitors that maybe hasn't won a championship, and, you know, these fans might not come to think of that, you know, would be competitive and should be on this champions list?
We both thought of this guy. Go ahead, Matt.
Oh yeah, no, I was thinking of Kyle Gammon because I don't know, he wins usually in everything he races, and
he's fast.
He never put the whole points deal together. So yeah, that'd be my pick. Other than Hatcher, of course. I know Hatcher
He came real close one year. Yeah.
Second twice. So
yeah.
But yeah.
And Mark Williams just brought that up. Gammon should have won one. He was strong 10 years ago. And I think if you still put him in a race car, if you gave him a little bit of experience or a little bit of seat time in a race car, I think he'd be getting right back at it.
He was strong in Nick's car the few starts he made in the summer.
Yep, he was.
He can
absolutely.
He doesn't really need much seat time. He just jumps in.
I think there was a couple of laps that I think that 4-door, that 68 car that he was in, I think the first race of the season that he ran, just a couple of laps, get used to it, and then go, especially with these neons that are on the racetrack now, trying to split everything up. Dave, Stevie, you mentioned Drew. You guys raced back in the day when there was, 30, 40 cars on the racetrack. Any names you want to spit out at us that should be on this champions list that might have fallen a little short?
Probably Ross, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, Ross. Can't forget about
committed
Ross.
Man. He helps everybody out, and
yeah.
He's a good driver.
I got my first car. That was my first car. Was Ross's car. Ross was a big help to me all throughout it. And he was always good. Yeah.
So if we bring Stevie back on the racetrack, Dave, we've got to bring Ross back, right?
Well, he's got to have somebody to block for him.
Are we allowed to open up the full bando track?
Yeah, full bando.
Let him get down there. Not the four. Just put all four wheels underneath that curb, right?
Yeah.
Like Ross's interviews too after the race.
Yeah, you got to bleep it out.
I think between him and Darren Wallage are the only two that I have to watch out for at the racetrack. Mark Williams says he wants to see Bristol versus Colton. There's another one that I'm sure would tell some stories is Mark Williams. I mean, he's got one of those. He's got a Legend car, I guess now. He's been splitting between Legend and Thunder and everything else. So I guess he's got a Legend car now.
Mark just gets cars to leave in his garage and then he gets rid of them. Start driving them, Mark.
Now, Drew McEachran, he said the word. Now he said it. We are going to need a Thunder car old timers race. He said old timers, and it was him that said it. So
yeah. It's gonna be him and Webster racing. I'm not there yet.
I think the word is experience, though, right?
Experience in years or races?
That's just it, right? Whatever you want to interpret it as. I mean, Drew, I think, still has a race car there. So if anybody wants to talk to Drew, I mean, he's doing the president thing on the mini stock tour. He's busy doing that. He's, preoccupied. So I guess that's it. So he needs to let those cars go, and maybe one more race left. Maybe one more race left in him, right?
AMP.
Yeah, maybe AMP. That might be the one. I want to mention too, because Dave, we talked about this on Sunday when we were talking about the AGM. 660 shows have been phenomenal. You've pretty much owned that racetrack up there the last couple of seasons. So for those that are out there that are watching, what do they got to do to beat you and Gary?
Try and spin me out in the last lap.
And don't let them have the opportunity to catch you, right?
I don't know. Car works good there, man. Like, I don't know what it is. As long as the motor holds together, it usually works good. What is it?
Maybe it's your gearing.
Definitely gearing.
I think I got him on one there last year, but it was an outlaw race.
A win's a win, though, right, Jesse?
Yeah.
Because I gave you the tires to do it.
Well, there was only 3 of you on the lead lap. Cody Byrne was the only other one that was on the lead lap that year, wasn't he?
We lapped Cody too.
Okay, yeah, you did.
We did. Cars were crazy fast. Crazy fast.
And so there's the other thing too. And Dave, you mentioned new car. So all these other guys are, with their old cars and everything else. How much is it going to take to get that thing up to speed? For those that might not know, obviously you get a pro stock, might take you a couple of races to kind of get the thing to where it needs to be. For a 4-cylinder guy, what's it going to entail to get that new car onto the racetrack?
Well, I hope it's going to be faster than the other car as soon as I take it out.
Yep.
If not, I guess I'll sell it.
Well, there you go. Work it in a little bit. Colin Brewer says restarts. Yeah, do we want to talk about restarts in Fredericton?
Let's just talk about radios first.
I can't remember a crowd in Fredericton cheering for a Nova Scotia driver that loud.
I can't remember a Civic being able to take and jump a restart and pull away from the field at any given time.
I think that was the only time that the whole crowd was behind one 4-cylinder guy, because they're loyal to their local guys, right? Any race fans are that are at their local racetrack, but I think you made some fans that night.
I led the whole fucking race and they robbed me. Yeah, very for that.
I want to go around and ask about the one race that is still on the bucket list for everybody, because I think, Dave, there's not many on yours. We'll start with Jesse, because he's the newcomer to the Champions Club here per se. But Jesse, 4-cylinder wise, and you've won a lot of big races in your day, and you won at a lot of racetracks. Is there anyone that's on the bucket list that you might want to go back and dig that 4-cylinder out and go win at?
Yeah, there is. And I've come close twice. Once to the Warrens, and it was Riverside. Almost won that race a few times. Had a couple bad luck a few times, but that's definitely one for me. I love the high banks. That's when I started going to races with Dad, was going to Riverside, going to IWK, and that's where it all started. So yeah, it's there for sure.
So with no Sportsman race, the first race we're up there in June, is that an option to maybe pull that 4-cylinder out?
Depends what the Sportsman looks like.
So
right?
if it's in one piece and all it needs is a coat of wax, and
if it's in one piece and I don't gotta rebuild the whole thing, and you know what I mean, and we're happy, it's a possibility. I do want to get up there. I do want to win that race for sure.
Darren, you have a 4-cylinder car end up in your lap, and they say you can take it anywhere. What's the one race you want to win?
I'd like to take back my race at 660 where Dave passed me on my last lap. I think it was my first or second year, first time there, won the heat race, 49 out of 50 laps at the inaugural East Coast Mini Stock Tour race there. And then Dave, he did it clean. I'll give him that. On my last lap, got me.
Nice. Yeah,
all these close finishes that we had up there. It always ends up with the 99 in victory lane for some reason on those mini stock tour shows. But you know, the one with Darren, the one with Ryan McKnight last year, it seems like the car is up front, Dave, and everybody seems to be around it, just can't beat it, right?
He's only there in the last lap.
Yeah, it's that last lap. And on paper, on paper it shows the 99, or in the case of the Outlaw race, the 51. But they don't go and they actually don't see those highlights. So if you haven't seen it, I know it's on Pit Row TV somewhere. We'll have to share it tomorrow for those that might not have seen it before. Matthew, Andrew, the one race that you want to win in a 4-cylinder car that you might not have won yet.
Yeah, for me, it's easy. It's Riverside. I think I got a second there, third there. Yeah, I'd love to win there for sure.
I mean, for me, it's kind of a toss up between 660 and Lake Dowsett, really. Like Lake Dowsett it's a real driver's track. You know, when you win there, everybody knows that, you know, you can wheel a car. 660 is just seems like just a really big prestigious event up there. So it'd be cool to win there too.
And before we go to Dave and Stevie on this question, Matthew, I want to bring up Lake Dowsett because one of the first couple of years that we're there, you end up in victory lane, and the crowd. I mean, the crowd is awesome. You see all the people. They're treating us like it's, you know, the Daytona 500. What were your impressions of that racetrack, and, you know, being able to run up front and do what you did? What were your impressions of those, you know, races when we went down there with the tour?
When I went down there, it was kind of I think Andrew showed up early. And,
yeah, I was there the day before, and
I got up really early that day and went there on race day, so I wasn't really expecting to be as competitive as I was. And it was
you snookered us.
Yeah,
he's like, oh yeah, I've been practicing here all summer.
Yeah, but no, that was a extended race, 75 lapper, and at the end of it, I think it was me and Jesse, and
I had a front row seat for that.
Yeah, he stayed on my bumper the whole 25 laps. And every time I'd pick up the pace, he'd pick up the pace, and I just couldn't lose him. And I just remember getting out of the car just drenched in sweat. It was you know.
That was a hot day, but you guys.
It was long. It was very long.
That was a crazy battle.
That was a fun race, though, for sure.
Good race.
Neil reminds us that he did 300 shifts at that Lake Dowsett race, and they for 75 lapper, 4 per lap. So Neil was busy that day. I think Paul's got some B-roll of some in-car stuff where he was shifting at Scotia. I think I gave him that. I don't know if we've shown it or not yet tonight, but Dave, Stevie, Dave, I know your list is shorter than pretty much everybody else's because of all the wins everywhere else, but I think was it PEI, Miramichi, and Riverside are still on the list?
Yeah, I'd like to get Riverside like everyone else. Something always happens there, it seems. I don't know, just never good luck there. But I kind of want to get PEI when Cody Byrne's behind me, just so I can rub it in his face.
Stevie,
but I'll take all the wins I got, man. Right? I'm blessed to be able to do as well as I do. And with the money I got and the friends I've made and like all the good racing and stuff, man, like I wouldn't trade anything like that. And I'll still never trade it. I imagine Bristol's going to be running a 4-cylinder because I basically don't have tens of thousands of dollars to compete with some of these other teams. And, you know, if anybody wants to come on Bristol's bando, let me know.
And any win with this group is a big win. I think, Dave, is what we're trying to get at too, right?
Oh, totally.
Stevie, we plop a 4-cylinder car in your lap and we say you can go racing. Where are you going? What do you want to win?
And I just for the old school feel, I'd like to just go back to Scotia Speed Roll for a big old 50 lapper with all the boys. Yeah, just cause I mean, I truly miss it, man. I'd go back in a heartbeat. I love the 4-cylinder class and all the guys.
Absolutely. We'll make last call on social media now. So if you have a question or a comment for the group, let us know. And we've already talked to Stevie about his plans for the season, Jesse's plans. We mentioned the legend car up there in behind you guys. What's the plan this year? You mentioned sponsorship. What are the goals for the legend car? Where do we see you race? Is it a Friday night deal? What's the plan?
You'll probably see me in a few Friday nights. Again, it does depend on sponsors and stuff like that. So it really is up in the air right now, but I'm hopeful to get some racing in, but I can't really commit yet to much.
Now, Darren, there's no plan to race, but I know you're going to be at a racetrack. So you've seen schedules out. You want to go racing. Like, as a fan, what are you most excited about this year?
I'm going to be at every pro stock race I can be to help Ryan and Murray and Kelly and the whole crew there. So around there, watch some races there. And I mean, the Mass Tour, I'm excited to see that. That's going to be an awesome series this year. Got a lot of good races coming up for that. So really excited.
You can run Neil's car.
Yeah, unfortunately, I thought I could get the car going. Baby comes first. Had to ship the car.
Oh no, yeah, totally get it.
You used to try the thing out, man.
Yeah, hopefully you didn't tell him everything I told you.
I didn't tell him a single thing yet, and I should have.
He told me everything.
I didn't tell you a single thing either, Dave. Fuck off. He told me to stay with me, but yeah, I'd like to go.
Yeah, you got your priorities straight.
Yeah, kid comes first.
Race cars are always going to be there, right?
Race car second.
Absolutely. So I know you were dabbling away and thinking about, maybe hopping up and doing something else. So once the, you get everything in line and everything else and you decide to come back racing, what's the thought? Are we going sportsman racing? We going back 4-cylinder racing? Stevie could use somebody to drive side by side with in a pro stock.
Mini stocks, super affordable. It's fun, not a big stress. I've been around with the pro stocks and stuff like that. It's a lot of work. You gotta have a full-time dedicated crew. Like, it's stressful. I think legend. I think you don't need like a whole time crew like a sportsman you would. But I think if I was to move up, I'd want to do legend because I think that makes a really good pro stock driver in the end.
There you go. So Matthew, you're moving to a pro stock, right? With that logic?
Yeah. As soon as I hit the lotto, for sure. Yeah.
And Stevie, I got you. Darren, for those races that Ryan maybe doesn't get to, or maybe he wants to take a week off, Stevie's looking for pit crew members.
Yeah, if I'm around, I mean, I'll show you boy through and through. So if Stevie needs help, man, I'm there to help.
Yeah, buddy.
We trying to get you a couple of extra crew members on the side, so at least we can keep Ross in check, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Now we mentioned sponsors kind of low and everything else on some of these efforts. Dave, I know you got a couple of committed sponsors, including your back pocket. But who do you got on that car this year that's helping you get that thing to the racetrack?
I don't have anybody, man. Just Bristol and I.
So,
actually, no, wait, no. I take that back. One of my buddies, Smitco Flooring, told me he'd give me $1,000 for Bristol this year, which is huge, and I can't thank him enough.
So, the Mystery Machine. Obviously, we got a new car coming up. So, is it going to be Scooby-Doo related? Like, has Bristol picked the paint scheme out? What's the plan there?
Well, I told Bristol last year if she kept the body on her Bando, then I would paint a new body for her this year. So she wants to do the Mystery Machine for her car, I think. And we're going to keep the Scooby theme with my car. I got a couple ideas. I don't know if it's going to look right or not, but I'm going to try something, and hopefully it's a twist between both the schemes.
So what's it going to take to win a third Tour Championship?
This brand new ZC engine I got, and hopefully Andrew's transmission combo from Riverside.
So the secret's out of the bag, right? If you win Riverside, it's because of Andrew.
Yeah.
If Andrew gives me that gearing and I win Riverside, I'll split that $1,000 with him. Unless Mac with the CRX.
If you win all three stages or all three segments, it's 15, right? So split the 1,000, take the extra 500, put it in your back pocket, right?
Yeah, I say he's got a better chance of lending me that tranny than letting Matt drive his car for a race and me taking Matt out or something.
No, that's never happened before.
Never.
Mark Williams said I'll spot. So I don't know if Stevie, if that's for you or not, or if he has an offer, but we got something for you. Mark's offered something, so at least that's a start. Dylan, I want to hand it over to you to see if you have any more to throw at these guys. Oh, by the way, I heard Riverside Roulette's coming back.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's what we were told on Sunday.
Okay, well let's pretend that it's not coming back. Let's just talk about that August Riverside race. But I'm curious though. Let's throw it aside, and I kind of want the opinions of the boys here. Elimination race, first of its kind, coming back in a long time, maybe. But you'll have some drivers knocked off in the first segment, more in the second segment. We'll kind of go from one end to another. Jesse, that race may be on your radar there. What do you think about that elimination style where if you're at the back and you're not quick enough, you're done for the day?
Is what it is. If that's the way it's going to go, you know what I mean? It's if you're not fast, you're last. So that's fine with me.
Darren, I'm sure you'll be watching that race there. What do you think of the this elimination style race at Riverside?
I think it's a good idea. I mean, some people are faster, some people are slower. Get the slow cars out of the way, keep going, race for that money.
Warren boys?
Well, I think it's going to be exciting. There might be some dicey moves here and there, depending on, if there's 2 laps left in a segment or whatnot. But
yeah. Is there overtime? You might need it.
Yeah. I mean, if there's 10 cars left with 10 or 15 to go, usually going to be the cream of the crop. So you're going to see pretty exciting racing and, mostly clean, I would imagine. So.
Stevie, there won't be any pro stocks at Riverside that date, but what do you think about this whole elimination deal?
To be honest with you, I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. What was it? What happened?
So, Tim, you know a bit more the full details of it.
So, and I'm not keen on the numbers, but Stevie, so that race at Riverside, they're going to run 30 laps with the minis, and then they're going to take a break or throw a caution, and there's going to be a bunch of drivers at the back that are going to be eliminated. I think we're going to start 20 in the second segment. They're going to run 20 more laps, and then they're going to eliminate, I think it's 5 or 10 at the back. I think the final segment is 10 laps, 10 cars for $1,000. So if you're not in that number that you need to be, you end up getting eliminated before the end of the race.
What are my thoughts on that?
Gotta be in the top 10.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to be making no mistakes because you don't even get a chance to come back.
And with the field that we're going to have, it's hard to even look at 10 cars at the end of that combined 50 laps and say there's going to be some good drivers I think not making that last 10 laps.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Dave, you're going to be, what are you going to say, Tim?
Kelly McIntyre says Riverside Roulette, Dylan will need a bodyguard. Kelly can tell us if the Riverside Roulette wheel is still a thing, because I think the last time it was seen was in Donald Chisholm's shop, and I didn't know if it came out in one piece or not. So Kelly can probably tell us if it's actually in one piece.
Well, Drew's telling me to sparkle up or shine up my
Oh,
sparkle.
I don't know how exactly he said it at the meeting on Sunday, but he said, I envisioned Dylan and all his red sparkles going down with the white glove spinning the wheel. So this is all you, bud. This isn't me. This is all you.
I'm going to put on like 50 pounds on purpose, like just before the season, so I don't fit in that thing anymore. Dave, you're going to be part of that big race there. It's a long way out, but that strategy, I guess you're just going to go full tilt like any other race and just try and stay at the front, right?
Yeah, I guess depends where I start, and always try to save my car as much as I can towards the end of the race. And like I say, Riverside, man, I just don't get the gearing. I know that, I've tried so many different things and I just can't seem to find the speed that I want to there, which is frustrating, right?
One of your good buddies, Cody Byrne, he's doing a lot of great stuff up in Ontario. What's his schedule looking like for racing in the Maritimes, or is he pretty busy up there helping out that crew?
I've been talking to Cody in Messenger. I'm not sure what his plans are for the summer and everything, but I've heard he's staying up there. He's enjoying himself working on the race cars and thought about even doing some racing up there, I think. So sure going to miss him this year if he's not with us, because he's been there since day one like myself, and it's always a good time seeing Cody.
He's part of the tech committee. He can't be racing with us.
So his guys are, as Darren said, are kind of taking over tech. Dave, how many times did they DQ you on Sunday?
Oh my God. I don't even think I'll be able to race this year. There's a lot of notes.
There's 50 pounds going on the car. It's got to be put here. There's an extra $50 I got to spend. I think they DQ'd you like 5 times on Sunday.
Yeah. At least.
So
now they're good guys. They're smart guys. I mean, obviously you hope everybody's going to be fair and do what they need to do. And just for them to step up and do that, man, helps the tour out, gets us another year, because it seems like we can't get a tech guy to commit for a season and make all the races.
Not DQ'd either.
So hopefully between the two of them, they'll be able to make the whole season.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's 10 races. I think the schedule is diverse as it is. Ryan McKnight's has put it to him, boys. The schedule is diverse because, we mentioned that's the other thing too. AMP's on the schedule. It's a full-blown points race. You got the Riverside elimination race with $1,500 on the line for three segment winners. Jesse Leclerc asked about the tour rules being released. They were at the meeting. They're going to be on a website here in a bit because we've got to revamp the East Coast Mini Stock Tour website in the next couple of weeks. So get a hold of Drew. He'll have the rules for you. And there's a few things that changed, Dave, I guess, for either changed or more of a clarification, I guess, than anything, right?
Well, I think there was a couple things for safety that were added, were a good idea, but I don't think much has changed other than going over and making sure everything was what it needed to be. I think it's a great set of rules. You know, it opens things up that you can do, and it limits things that you need to be done, and hopefully more makes and models other than just the Civics come. And you could see maybe 30, 40 cars at Riverside if everybody didn't talk out of their ass and just actually showed up. Like the same with all these other tracks. Like, we need guys to go support the racing. It's the cheapest class to be in, and it's the best racing. We all respect each other more, I think, than anybody else, because none of us have a bunch of money, and we don't want to work on our cars every single night, all the time. So, but the same thing in the pits, man. If anybody needs something, somebody's always there to help out. I probably get upset with people more than the most, but at the same time, I don't go to sleep with it. I'm always going to help, like, anybody out. Like, I don't know how much I've hated Stevie after a race, and he's at my house right now. So, you can't deny that it's like really the funnest, best racing class, and we put on some of the best shows. And you can think pro stock legends and everything, but I know half the people come to watch our 4-cylinders race, and I'm blessed to be part of it.
And I think we can say it for everybody. We call them on the PA at Scotia the best four-cylinder drivers in Atlantic Canada, partially because of the show, partially because I think there was one season where you guys ran 214 laps. If it wasn't for somebody up in the upper corner, they're blowing a tire and breaking that on the 250 weekend a couple of years ago. Not saying who, but it's the competition. Everybody is so close. And once they get off the racetrack, everybody is friendly with everybody. I mean, the 2016 championship that was tied is down there in the bottom corner. I mean, that, you know, the championships between, you know, Dave and Matthew that went back and forth, and, you know, Jesse had a close run with a couple of guys going for some championships. At the end of the day, it seems like everything is so close, but the competition is everybody is nice and, you know, have a drink at the end of the show and talk about everything, sort of thing. You don't get that with Pro Stock. You don't get that with Legend Cars. Heck, you don't get it, I don't think, with a couple of those four-cylinder divisions in New Brunswick.
We've all been racing each other a long time.
I think the respect level is just very high. I mean, it's grown over the years too. It's just, we respect what each and every one of us brings to the track, and it shows.
Definitely.
Yeah. It might be a smaller number now in Scotia and what have you, but even on the tour, I think we saw it too. And, you know, Alicia and Ryan are watching. They were a great addition to the tour this year, seeing those, the 46 car and the 46 cars, I guess, with Jesse joining us a couple of times, getting on that series. So for those that are out there that are on the fence, we kind of talked about it at the AGM, Dave, about the first two races for a Nova Scotia car are easy. They're Scotia and they're Riverside. You're probably going, if you got a car in Nova Scotia, then you go to Gary. If you're one of those cars at Speedway 660 or your car at Petty that wants to come down and, you know, try Riverside, you're going to go to Gary anyway. You may as well come to Scotia, right?
Yep.
Get those couple of laps in, and obviously, as we said with Stevie earlier, it's a Pro Stock race. The crowd is going to be there. You're going to want to win that first race of the season. So, Dave, they're going to have to go through you, I guess, though, right? Because you're the defending champion of the series.
I guess so. I hate to give anything away, you know, but with Bristol Racing, I've been thinking I can't afford to do it all. It's so much time to do everything myself, working the cars. And I want to do more for Bristol than I want to do for myself now. But I love racing so much, so here I am building a new car just because I want to challenge myself, see if I can win with this car. You know, as much as I care about the competition, I do it to challenge myself sometimes, just to see if I can take that car and do the same thing I did with the car I've been running for 10 years. So I don't want to give a championship away to anybody. I want to make them earn it. And if I can be there at every race and be competitive, then at least when somebody else wins, they're going to appreciate nothing being handed to them.
That's it. If you pull to the racetrack, especially at Scotia Speed World, you want to beat the best. And I think with everybody that's here, I think that that's been proven over the last decade or so. And looking forward to seeing what the 2022 season brings. Any final thoughts before we close this off? I know we've hit a lot of topics and we've told a couple of stories. Is there anything else that we might have forgot? Floor is open.
Yeah, if anyone looks to buy a car, go to East Coast Financing.
Makes me wish I wasn't going Sportsman racing. Now I want to come back four-cylinder racing.
Well, I don't know why you would go to Sportsman.
Because it's.
I want to say one thing from 2016 when Stevie and I tied for the championship there. I still think I won on the last lap.
I know those championships are close because, Darren, your championship, we saw it on the clip that we started the show on. You didn't even think you won the championship that night, did you?
I didn't believe it. It was probably one of the biggest moments in my life, to be honest with you. I beat him by like 2 or 3 points, I think. But thanks, Dave, for not having your radio on that night in Scotia and getting 0 points that night in Black Flag. That was a great help. Yeah, I went into the night expecting second place, and I was happy with second place. And then I got one car ahead of Jesse and ended up winning it, and that was like a dream come true to me.
It was terrible.
Terrible.
It was terrible.
Good job, Darren.
Yeah, thanks, man. You're a great competition all year, though.
Matthew, Andrew, any final thoughts before we put the curtain on this thing?
No, I'm looking forward to getting into the CRX at least once this year. I mean, I haven't driven it even in practice yet, so
It's nothing special. It's the driver that's special.
well, if it works out, I'd love to be able to take it up to Riverside. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Definitely seems to be special there.
Now, we do have Cody Byrne watching. He did drop us a comment here. He said, and this is a good point, Dave, so be prepared. This is good. Hold on. Now that I'm not there and Jesse is driving Sportsman, who's going to be the new competition for Dave? Darren, you can drive my car anytime, boss. I'll even give you the gearing. I bet Dave I beat Dave with it Riverside a couple of years ago.
Take him up on that any day.
So I guess there's the question, Dave. Who's the next Dave Matthews? That might be a loaded question, but who's the next Dave Matthews?
No one can tell.
Coming in.
Dave is speechless, and we never have this.
No, I was just letting everybody else talk for a second. I was just making sure Cody didn't miss his flight.
I would have beat you if that car didn't mess off, Dave.
Cody couldn't even beat me with my own car.
Oh, but he tried.
You're damn right he did.
That was a good show. Drew McEachran says, thanks to all these guys for supporting the tour over the years, and we'll see you this year, Stevie. So I guess he's offering a car, Stevie.
Awesome. Hook it up.
This has been fun. Mark Williams says, I have some springs of yours, Matt. So
you can keep them.
He can keep them. I'm sure he's going to build a Civic. If it's not this year, it's going to be next year anyway. So somebody's got to have something. And the other thing is too, I know Jason Morash is watching. Lori Hutt says Bristol is the next Dave Matthews. So there's the answer. I know that there was a couple of drivers I want to get on here. Obviously, Kyle McMillan couldn't make it tonight. So want to say hi to Kyle. I'm sure he'll be watching this one back. We mentioned Kyle Gammon. I reached out to Jason Pickles because he had that battle with you last year just to rub it in a little bit more, Dave, but he's busy doing something tonight, so he can't make it. We could have a huge conversation about this because I know this division means a lot to a lot of us. But this has been fun. Thank you guys for being a part of this, and looking forward to the next one and that first race of the season. By the way, May 21 and 22, you can watch live on Tim's Corner TV. Dylan, I don't know how we top this next week, but Denver's still not back. So I don't know what we're going to get for next week.
2 in the booth with plus Paul.
2 in the booth plus Paul. We got some iRacing coming up tomorrow, by the way. If you're watching us on Tim's Corner Motorsports, we got the spring smashed potatoes. Paul, are we broadcasting that?
We absolutely can.
Oh, cool. Sure. I'm going to be driving, so that doesn't matter. I'm not in the broadcast booth. We'll get Mike James or somebody.
You remember what happened the last time we talked to you in a car during a smashed potatoes race?
Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
No, it was not. Gravy
was not
everywhere.
Pretty. Yes. I want to thank all the partners that helped put on this show. Guys, this has been great. Thank you for joining us. On behalf of Paul Strickland Jr., Dylan Langell, and Denver Matchett, wherever he might be, my name is Tim Terry. We will see you next Wednesday night when we say let's go racing. Until then, keep the hammer down. We'll see you at the track.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.